What if you became a crusader for a day? The night was cold. A wind blew through the stone walls of the fortress, and somewhere in the distance, the dull ringing of a bell could be heard. You open your eyes not in your room, not in the modern world, but on a rough wooden cot under a woolen cloak. The air smells of smoke, wet earth, and iron. At first, it seems like a dream, but then you hear shouts in an unfamiliar language, the clatter of boots, and the clanking of chainmail. A man with a thick beard and a red cross on his white cloak bends over you. "Rise, brother. We set out at dawn." You sit up abruptly. You're wearing a heavy linen shirt. A sword lies beside you, and a shield with a faded cross sits in the corner of the room. You've become a crusader, and you only have one day. Dawn. The fortress comes alive even before sunrise. Soldiers roar in the courtyard. Horses beat their hooves on the stone. Blacksmiths hammer away. You step outside and almost immediately realize this isn't a movie or a game. Everything is real. Dirt underfoot, the clank of metal, the tired faces of men who have been walking for months through foreign lands. Some are praying, some are sharpening their swords, some are simply sitting by the wall, staring into space. A young knight named Hugo notices you. "Your first campaign?" he asks. You don't know what to say. "Today will be a difficult day," he says. The scouts saw an army near the valley. He smiles, but his eyes are worried. Preparation. You are led to the armorer. The old man hands you a suit of chainmail. It's so heavy that you can barely stay on your feet. Then the helmet. Then the sword. You always thought the knights moved gracefully and gracefully, but in reality, every step feels like they're dragging a sack of stones. In the courtyard, the captain explains the plan. The detachment must pass through the gorge and reach the city, which has been under siege for weeks. If they don't make it in time, the inhabitants will perish. You notice that many of the Crusaders don't look like the heroes of legend. Some are too young, some are old. Many have dirty faces, torn cloaks, and frightened eyes. One man is shaking so much he can't hold his spear, and suddenly you realize almost all of them are afraid. The march. When the fortress gates open, the sun is just beginning to rise. The column moves slowly. First, the knights on horseback, then the infantry, then the wagons. The road passes through scorched earth. Traces of war are everywhere. Destroyed houses, burned fields, abandoned villages. Sometimes you see people watching from afar. They are silent. It doesn't matter to them who exactly passes through their lands. For them, any army is a disaster. After a few hours, it gets hot. Your chainmail chafes your shoulders, your helmet burns hot. You begin to understand how hard the life of a medieval warrior was. No comforts, no rest, only an endless road. An old pilgrim. During a short stop, an old man approaches you. He wears no armor, only a dusty cloak and a wooden cross. "Do you know why so many come here?" he asks. You shrug. Some for glory, some for gold. Some believe they can atone for their sins. He looks into the distance. But war doesn't make men saints. After these words, he leaves. And for some reason, it is this conversation that sticks in my memory most deeply. Ambush. Late in the evening, the column enters a narrow gorge. The cliffs loom overhead. It's too quiet. Even the horses are starting to fidget. And suddenly, a whistle. An arrow pierces the shield ahead. Then another, and another. The slopes come alive. Screams. Rocks fly down. The commander yells, "Shields up!" Chaos ensues. You hear the clanking of metal, the neighing of horses, the cries of the wounded. Someone falls next to you. The young soldier you spoke to this morning lies on the ground, looking up at the sky. He doesn't even have time to comprehend what's happened. At that moment, all romantic notions of war vanish. No beautiful scenes. No heroic music. Only fear. The first battle. The enemies descend from the slopes. Now everything happens too fast. You barely have time to raise your sword. A blow. The shield shakes so violently that your hand goes numb. Someone pushes you off your feet. Dust fills your eyes. You hear your own breathing inside your helmet. Heavy, panicked, one of the attackers lunges at you with a dagger. Instinctively, you fight back with your sword. The man falls, and a strange second of silence follows. You realize you've just fought for real for the first time in your life. And it's nothing like the stories. No sense of victory, only shock. After the battle, the ambush ends as abruptly as it began. The survivors gather by the road. Many are wounded. Some call out to friends who won't answer. The captain orders them to continue on. It's then that you notice the main difference between the past and the modern world. There's almost no time to mourn. People die and the column moves on, because otherwise everyone will die. Night camp. They set up camp near some old ruins. Fires are lit. Some pray. Some silently stare into the fire. You sit down next to Hugo. Now he no longer seems the confident knight. He removes his helmet, and you see his hands shaking. "I fear every battle," he says quietly. "Everyone does. It's just that no one talks about it." He shows a small medallion. Inside is a drawing of a woman and a child. "If I survive, I'll return home." But it's clear from his voice. He doesn't believe it himself. Secret expedition. At night, the captain gathers a small detachment. The besieged city is very close. Supplies need to be smuggled in through an old underground passage. You walk with the others. The tunnel is narrow and dark. The air is heavy. Water drips somewhere. Every sound seems threatening. And suddenly, footsteps are heard ahead. Everyone freezes. The shadows approach. For a few seconds, no one moves. Then a fight erupts in complete darkness. The torch falls into the mud. You see almost nothing. Only screams and the clanging of steel. The city. When you finally emerge from the tunnel, a besieged city appears before you. It looks terrible. Ruined walls. Hungry inhabitants. Exhausted soldiers. Children looking at bread as if it were a treasure. One woman begins to cry when she sees the sacks of grain brought in. Then, for the first time, you understand why so many went on such campaigns in the first place. Not only for war, sometimes for salvation. The final assault. At dawn, the main battle begins. The troops prepare to repel the attack. The sky is red with smoke. Commanders shout orders. The towers tremble from the blows. You stand on the wall alongside the other defenders, and then all hell breaks loose. The ladders rise to the walls. Arrows blot out the sky. Catapult stones shatter the towers. Fire is everywhere. You help hold the gates, carry arrows, pull out the wounded. For a moment it seems all is lost, but the defenders continue to hold out. An hour, another, a third, and gradually the enemy begins to retreat. Slowly at first, then faster, and in the field before the city is empty. Victory, it would seem like a moment of triumph, but instead of joy, silence comes. Too many dead, too much destruction. Hugo sits by the wall with a wound on his shoulder and watches the sunrise. You know, he says, people in hundreds of years will think we were heroes or monsters. He grins. But really, we're just people trying to survive. Return. The bell rings again, somewhere in the distance. The world begins to blur. The screams fade. The armor becomes lighter. And suddenly, you open your eyes again in your home. Silence. No swords. No war. Just an ordinary room. But the feeling of heavy chainmail still lingers on your shoulders. You look out the window and realize something strange. We often romanticize the past because we never felt its fear. One day as a crusader showed you not the glory of war, but its price.